I'm not exactly sure. Like, I was going to pull clips of this, right? When I was on the happy hour with Last Turn Off Broadway, we started talking about the Guns N' Roses tour a little bit. And, people are excited that they're going to play Coachella and stuff like that. And I think it's great, for like a reunited kind of thing. Like, I think that's cool. That's fantastic. And more importantly, I think good for them. This is going to be longer than I wanted, so I'll try and shorten it down. But okay. One of the biggest questions that people always ask when bands break up, and this was really common of like even when Stone Temple Pilots broke up, and I'm sure it was even more common when like the big famous old-time bands broke up, but specifically when Stone Temple Pilots broke up, people were asking me or saying it in my presence. They're like, why can't you just stick it out and just do this? You're making millions of dollars and all that other stuff. Why can't you just shut up and do it? And the small reason of it is really hard to be in a band. For my New England friends, it's wicked hard to be in a band. It just is. It's a weird dynamic that's almost family, and everybody knows how families can be at anybody's drunken Thanksgiving with their crazy uncle and all that other stuff. Like, bands are hard, and I defy you to find anybody in any band that tells you that it's always, roses, because it's not. They're lying to you, or they've only been in a band for a couple of weeks. It doesn't work that way. And there are definitely different ways you can structure your band. You can do them full democracies, and they have great moments of great explosion and like really getting stuff done. And then they have moments of absolute stonewall getting absolutely nothing done because they're at odds, and that they kind of end up just falling apart. Then you have other bands which are more not fascists and dictatorships, but for a very long time I ran Revel 9 very much. Look, this is what I'm doing. If you guys want to go with me, that's fine. I definitely softened on that a little bit with the new incarnation because these guys actually want to do some work, and that's important to me. But I am definitely well aware of how democracy can tend to destroy a band, especially when there are different visions involved. For me, it tends to be a little bit... sorry, I don't mean to stutter, but I'm trying to not say the wrong thing. For me, it tends to be a little bit more... or a little easier for me to lead because I'm the principal songwriter. Kaz does write, and that's fine, but I am the principal songwriter, and I write all the lyrics and stuff, so I have a lot of say in what happens musically. Like, not to compare ourselves to Fleetwood Mac, but that, like, Fleetwood Mac is a band was a band of very talented and creative people, but Lindsey Buckingham was the musical director of the band. So even while him and Stevie Nicks were going through a very nasty breakup, she still had to submit the material to him for approval before Fleetwood Mac would move on anything like that. Now, I'm not like that big of a dick, but I will tell you, if I don't believe in a song, I have a great deal of trouble performing it. It is tough. And I have problems doing my own stuff. Like, I kind of somewhat famously don't like the song Only One so much. I don't think we've ever been able to kind of capture it live the way we recorded it, and I never was thrilled with the recorded version of the song anyway. And still, to date, it happens to be some people's favorite songs one of people's favorite songs from the Diaries. And we just don't play it all that often because I can't bring myself to do it. Holy crap, there's some tangent I really didn't want to be on. My point is, bands are hard. Bands are difficult to be in. And that's more often than not why bands break up. You don't think the guys in Guns N' Roses were like, holy crap, there's a couple of $1 million paydays for us if we just go play? Maybe Slash and Axl not so much because they own a boatload of awesome publishing, but I bet you Izzy and Steven Adler and maybe even Duff are like, dude, I could use some money. I don't know for sure. But anyway, point I wanted to talk about is this. From the Houston Press last week, they talk about this. Rock and roll is dead, and even Axl and Slash can't save it. That's the title of the article by Christy Love. So this is from January 5th. And it basically says, the news that the reunited classic lineup of Guns N' Roses will headline Coachella this year, as confirmed by singer Axl Rose, Maybe the stuff of answered prayers to many music fans, but others like myself see instead a sign that rock and roll is doomed. True, I love Guns N' Roses and even praise them for this reunion. Should they go on tour as some are expecting, I will even dutifully buy tickets to their show. But I also understand that this reunion speaks to a deep-seated need in the music world. We long for this caliber of band, the all-encompassing, billboard-swallowing idol, simply because there are no more new rock stars. Okay. Now, I take issue with that, except that she's correct. Also, I would not buy a ticket to the Guns N' Roses show. I'm a huge Guns N' Roses fan, and was at the time, but my stance on old, tired music still stands. F them. I'd rather see other bands. But she does go on to say this, which I thought was interesting. This is the failing of the digital age. We are no longer creating any new rock heroes. The days of the Titans are gone. Music stores are bankrupt. MTV is dead. A world tour no longer means anything when you can watch it on YouTube for free. Fans have destroyed music by trading in Buddy Guy for a drum machine on an iPhone. The thousands of musicians around the world might still be heard and appreciated if the industry were organized around a clear path to stardom, but that path is now scattered, unclear, and impossible to follow. It goes on to say a bunch of really good stuff about the state of music, and it is so effing true. But my point and my takeaway from all this is not only can Axl and Slash not save it because the medium isn't worth saving anymore, that medium is dead. Everybody's watching stuff on YouTube for free. The only people getting paid there really are the advertisers and the artists that are big enough to monetize and leverage that advertising. They're the ones getting paid, and they're inflating their views on YouTube anyway. So it's not even like a balanced system, let alone an option for, your regular kind of bands to get in, with the exception of just maybe some dumb luck. But what bothers me about it, and I started even this show today talking about David Bowie and how he's sort of an exception to me. This is tired old rock music. If you honestly don't think that there is music out there of the caliber of Guns N' Roses, now granted, they had an amazing machine behind them when they put out Appetite for Destruction, as did bands like Nirvana when they put out Nevermind. Their first two records were not Nevermind. They had an excellent production team, a label that believed in them, and funding, and a place to put their music where people would see it. But if you honestly don't think that there is music good enough to be worthy of the credit and praise of anything off of Appetite for Destruction, you are simply not paying attention. And I will not listen to your argument because you are incorrect. You cannot tell me that there has not been a band in the past 5 years as good as a band 30 years ago. You can't. It's not true, and I can prove it. Not to inflate their egos any, but I do want to make a point of the next band I'm going to play. The band She Said Fire, who I've known for a bunch of years. They came out of the remnants of the August Infinity. They are a complicated group of individuals, I will say. I've known each one of them for a while now. And what I've always liked about them is their sort of ability to create music that's a little bit different. And now a lot of it has to do with Joshua and the way that he sings. I've said it for years. That kid is a star. He absolutely is. If you ever see him live, you see star quality in him immediately. And I can tell you one of my favorite Joshua stories of all time. My wife and I went to go see them out in Center Reach. This was early on, the She Said Fire days. And he performs. Like, he doesn't, he'll play guitar sometimes, but he's primarily a singer. So he'll go up there and he'll just sing. True rock star fashion. Just go up there and sing. We went to see him out in Center Reach. And he was doing his thing, and he was singing a song, and he jumped up on one of the monitors. The monitor slid out from underneath him, fell off the stage. Joshua landed flat on his back, did not miss a single word. Got right back up, dusted himself off, finished the song, and I turned to my wife, and I was like, that's why that kid is awesome. And he is. He was, and he still is. You know, I have some questionable issues with their Kickstarter campaigns and stuff like that, but that's just me, and that's my stance on that sort of thing anyway, and has no bearing whatsoever on their creativity as a band and their involvement in what I'm trying to say right now. I have always admired their ability to come up with something a little bit different, and I think it's because they stay very plugged in to what's going on around them, and I think, honestly, as a band, they have some seriously, really good, serious, natural talent to create and expand on that kind of stuff. I'm a huge fan of the record Boom. I played the F out of it when they released it. I think White Cadillac might be one of my favorite songs to come out of the New York area in the past 10 years. I just do. Funhouse isn't too shabby either. And there's a couple other good songs on that EP. They do have new stuff out. It was released only to their street team. I have connections, though. I don't know if you know this, but the Hard Rock Lunchbox is a very important... I can't even get that out. Influential type station. And I have been blessed with a couple tracks from their upcoming whatever the hell it is they're doing. And so I figured I would give it a listen. They have a song coming out, I think, called California. When I tell you it is poppy as F, I am underestimating how poppy it is. I would argue that it might even be too poppy for the Lunchbox. So I'm going to go with this other one that I got. It's called Ever After. And again, it highly illustrates their ability to kind of take something a little bit new, put their typical spin on it, and make it theirs. It is instantly recognizable as something She Said Fire, which of course is important for any band in their brand, as I've told you ad nauseum. But it still has that something different that makes them stand out. It's why I think they're such a good band. It's why I think they're still together, and it's why I think they really have a shot at what they're trying to accomplish. And I know Joshua would give me a hard time for fawning all over his band like that, but it's too bad. He's in California, and honestly, if push comes to shove, I'm bigger than him. Anyway, I have no idea if they have a record coming out. What I do know is they just played in Hollywood as a band, sorta. And they have plans to play in New York City in March. I think it's March 15th. It's probably like a Tuesday, because why would they do anything normal? I will keep you posted on that. I highly recommend it if you get a chance to see them. They are a great live band. They always have been. And since half of them are in L.A., it's not going to be all that easy to see them as a band all that often. All that often. I'll just keep saying all that often. Anyway. If you've forgotten what She Said Fire sounds like, you should have been listening last week when I played White Cadillac. If you want to see the future She Said Fire sounds like, you're in luck. This is Ever After on The Box.